All right, it's a day of life without sports when Make Mine Moxie is
That's
positioned
right.
behind Chico.
That's right. That's right. Right over it.
You know what, Mike? That just kind of makes me smile all over
You
seeing
love
Ted
it.
Williams and a can of Moxie
That's right. Well,
and a
that's actually a
bottle of
bottle in
Moxie.
this case. Yeah.
Yes, you like yours in a can. Ted liked his in a bottle.
There he is. There's Ted Williams.
There he is. There's Ted. You have quite the setup behind you. What is that? What's?
I mean, the science of
Oh, there it
hitting.
is. The science of hitting. We'll get through that in a couple of weeks. We'll have a complete book report on that one. And I was channeling you last night, Mike, as I was.
Yeah.
Here's the problem during the pandemic,
Yeah.
all we do is watch TV.
Right.
At least some of us.
Right.
And thinking, all right, I'm almost done with Hollywood. I'm on the last episode.
Yep.
I'm grinding through Better Call Saul, which is great.
Yep.
All right, I need something else. I got 3 shows juggling here.
Right. Right.
Went to Billions on Showtime.
Yes.
And I'm a little late to the party. I started it when it first came out. I didn't love it, but now I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that little Damian Lewis vibe.
Yeah, I fell behind last season, and I haven't gotten caught up yet. So I'm trying to catch up on that, and then going to roll right into the new season. So no spoilers, but it's kind of there's some elements to the original story. I mean, obviously the original episode or the first season it had some interesting. There's some twists. Let's put it that way. That made it interesting.
Paul Giamatti reminds me of you.
Yeah, well, I don't have his voice, or his bank account, but and then I thought I thought the second season got a little, towards the end of what I was watching, got not off the rails, but it's not that it's it's supposed to be ultra believable, but to some extent it's like, all right, but it's it's kind of like when we were kids, like Dynasty, it's kind of like that fantasy, and you kind of try and put yourself like, what would you do in that situation, or would it be great to have a huge house in Long Island and in the Hamptons. And
I love how he says, "Yeah, I'll pay $63 million for it."
Yeah,
like it's for you and I. That's like, yeah, I'll pay $100.
Yeah, yeah. But but the acting in that show has been fantastic. My good friend. He's not really my good friend. I never met him, but he was a Charlotte resident for a short time. Damian Lewis. I go back to Band of Brothers with him. I liked it when he was. He played Lieutenant Dick Winters, one of the key characters in that.
I didn't watch Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers, yeah, it was really good.
I heard about it.
Yeah, really good.
We should mention you guest starred in Homeland.
Well, guest star's a little bit of a stretch. I didn't even have a speaking part. I was just an extra sitting in the back in the congressional scene.
That's a guest starring role.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably 6 years ago. So now it's become like a guest starring role, but back then it really wasn't.
Now, you got to see Mandy Patinkin.
Yes, great to see him work, and it's just interesting to see the process. People that have never been on a film set. Not that I'm by any means an expert at this, but I would say for like a 5-minute scene, as long as they're not if they're in the same location, right? They do the scene several different times, assuming that the takes are good, and then they'll do it from different angles and. But they're redoing the lighting, and it takes them so long to set up the lighting. I gained a new respect for the people behind the scenes going through that process because, like literally as extras, we were waiting for like 3 or 4 hours while they were, tinkering and doing all that, and they got to get it perfect. And and this
you're a method actor, as an actor.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I had to really get into the role of a congressional someone sitting and observing a congressional hearing.
Which probably what you had to do was just fall asleep like the rest of the.
Yeah. Yes. No, but it was interesting. It was fun. And the other thing that I didn't really realize, not that it's a great revelation, but the amount of time that the actors are on set is pretty small too. Now you understand why they have the trailers, because what happens is while they're doing all the blocking, they have the stand-ins basically. So the stand-ins will kind of help the crew with the lighting and how they're going to position everything. Then they bring in it's almost like going to the bullpen. Then they bring in the closer. The actor does his lines, And the other interesting thing is sometimes, and I think Mandy Patinkin, I don't think he left. I can't remember if he had to stand and do this or not. But sometimes when it's like one-on-one dialogue, sometimes the stand-in will take the place of the actor. So you're not really doing the lines to the other actor; you're doing it to the stand-in. Now, sometimes that's different. Some actors, and depending on the scene, they'll just stay.
You just want to be a fluffer one day.
Who says I haven't been?
I know you had some experience in the San Fernando Valley, but I didn't know it was that deep.
Yeah, there's that extensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think it looks glorious. I think you've talked to some people who've been in movies. I was in one commercial with Jerry Callahan for Miller Lite. It was a Boston area Miller Lite commercial. I remember it was shot like 5 different locations on a Friday, and it was a lot of waiting around.
Oh, tons of waiting around.
It was getting the lighting. It was getting, as you said,
the waiting around is though for the talent, right? I mean, the grips and the photographer, the director of photography, the cameraman, like those people are working.
Yeah.
But
I did not say less filling tastes great.
Yeah. Did you have a line in this commercial?
Jerry and I think had one each, and it was. I mean, then we had to like run this. It was like an active commercial. I think it only ran in New England.
Right.
I just remember being kind of caught up in the fact, oh my God, I'm going to be in a commercial.
You still get residuals for that?
Yeah, right. That was 1 can of beer after we were done.
I got, I can't remember if this was 2003 or 2004, but BC Powder was doing they were unveiling an allergy medicine. And so BC Powder, for people that don't know, that aren't in the South, BC Powder is basically headache medicine. And it's powdery, so it's kind of like Alka-Seltzer in the sense of you put it in water, you stir it up, you drink it, and your headache goes away. And so they were doing a commercial, but they wanted real people that worked in minor league baseball to talk about allergies. So I had like 3 or 4 interviews, and I think they did a screen test too, maybe or they filmed. But then they ended up not using. I ended up not getting it, which stunk because it would have been a little bit. I mean, it would have been a huge chunk of change, but it would have been a little bit of money. Would have been fun. So
you could have been. You were the original Mikey Likes It.
Yeah, I was the original Mikey Likes It. Yeah.
From Life Cereal.
From Life Cereal.
Mikey may still be with us. He did not have an incident with Pop Rocks and Coke.
No.
That's an urban legend.
Yeah. No. I remember for years people would always. I mean, it got to be old. Like, hey, Mikey likes it. Mikey likes it. But.
It fits.
Well, it would have been better if I actually was the Mikey that likes it, because then I would have gotten paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. You could have paid for Merrimack.
I mean, can you imagine? Yeah, in commercials. I mean, I don't know if commercials still pay what they used to, but
probably not.
I had a friend who did it. It was on a national commercial, and it was a pretty good chunk of change.
Yeah, you could live like Bobby Axelrod after a few of those.
But that's what's interesting too, and we didn't get into this with Mike O'Malley, but it would have been interesting to find out more on the business side of things, right? Because if you're not in a series every year, but like you do like Law and Order or you do Chicago Fire and then you do 2 commercials, I mean, that's probably
it's an annuity.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Well, being on a series, nothing beats being on a series, right? Because that's...
Right. That goes to syndication.
Right. And if it goes into syndication, then you're set for life for the most part.
Like O'Malley with Yes Dear.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I'm talking like... But since then, and maybe because he has the ability, because he has that, he can pick and choose what he wants to do. But because some guys, he's been on a couple of series. Of course, he's got the one that's coming out next week.
Yeah, Snowpiercer.
But and some of the actors and some of the like comedians that I've had on at BB&T Ballpark for the Knights on our pregame show, like a lot of times they do, they'll do like 2 or 3 guest starring things, and stand-up comedians have the luxury of going on the. I don't know if luxury is the right way to put it, but they can make money going on the road. I mean, the ideal goal is to get on a series, like you said, but it's interesting to see like how much you can get by on doing a couple of commercials and guest starring in a couple of shows.
Did you ask the Soup Nazi if he gets residuals every time that episode runs?
Oh yeah, they all do. I'm not sure how long that goes for, but yeah.
But it has to be that episode, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, you don't. I don't think you get paid for. You just get paid for the ones you're in.
How much?
I didn't ask him how much, but you get paid for the ones that you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. I mean, that thing runs probably at least once a year.
Well, and is
Everywhere.
one of probably, like, if you poll anybody that's a Seinfeld fan, the Soup Nazi episode has got to be in everybody's top 5, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
right up there with the contest.
But I mean, he's been able to have like a cottage industry since then, right? I mean, he tours a lot. He probably does like, I mean, I don't know what the Knights paid him, but it's probably somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. So you do 10.
Not much.
Yeah, he was probably closer. I don't know what. Like I said, I think that's the range. I don't know if that's what he got. I mean, he might have got. I don't know if that was the lower end or the higher end, but you figure you do, 10 of those a year. I mean, just with ballparks, and then you do another like 10 corporate things.
Pretty good deal.
Plus, you're getting travel paid for. Like that's not. I don't think that's not like here we're giving you $5,000. You got to get here. That's like $5,000. We get you a flight. We get you a hotel. So, in the smart ones, I mean, I don't know that anybody's done this that's come through with us, but the smart ones try to book it. Where maybe you do a corporate event or, you do the other advantage to where we are is with all the minor league baseball teams. Is if you work it out properly, you could do maybe Winston-Salem on a Thursday, come to Charlotte on a Friday, go to Birmingham on a Saturday, or whatever.
Yes, the Southern League circuit.
Yeah, well, we're the International League, John.
Oh, I know you are.
Used to be the Southern League.
Used to be
the Charlotte O's.
I know you're the IL, please.
I know you do. I'm educating our people because they might. I didn't want
educating our 7 minor league baseball.
Yeah,
fans.
no, I know you knew that, but I didn't want people to walk away thinking that we were misleading them.
No, we would never misinform on Life Without Sports.
No.
Just every time we open our mouths.
No, we're mostly accurate.
We are. And speaking of billions and billionaires, not Michael Jordan, probably could do this, but Tom Brady, Bill Michelson, Tiger Woods, Peyton Manning, all part of a golf shootout coming to a TV near you. I like the concept. I think it's good pandemic programming. It's great. It's kind of old school. I used to, when I growing up, I used to love the Superstars. I used to love, Battle of the Network Stars.
Yeah.
I used to love all that trash sports that ABC used to show all the time with Howard Cosell and, Suzanne Plachette and Suzanne Summers.
Well, remember our friend Terry Hansen? He used to be involved with ESPN's. They used to do like a par 3 tournament. You remember that?
Yeah. Stuff like that to me is fun to watch.
Yeah.
Will it have staying power? I don't know. But the fact that they have such big names attached to it, Brady, it's going to be Brady and Mickelson, right? Against Woods and Manning.
Yeah.
That's going to be
trash talk.
intriguing.
I mean, I think for this, the trash talk alone is worth it.
It is. That's why Jordan would be great.
Oh, Jordan would be fantastic.
I mean, he's probably itching to do it.
I mean, the side action might be better than the actual purse.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some side action that we don't see in this one, too, based on Phil Mickelson's history.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he might be.
Well, and those 4 guys can, and the funny thing is, like, even if they were joking around and they were like, all right, $10,000, you missed this putt. Most people would be like, wow, that's a lot of money. But for those guys, it's like, chump change.
10, that's it? 10?
Yeah.
I'll get you next round.
Well, I think they also have a scale of understanding, right? I mean, they know they can't go too high because that'd be really. Maybe they could, I guess, but I think public opinion might find it rather salacious if they started throwing like $1 million bets around.
Will this be Pacheco appointment programming?
I will definitely tune into it. Yeah. I think now here's the thing, and this is obviously you mentioned the star power, the big names, but for me, it's not going to be the golf necessarily. It's going to be the trash talk. It's going to be the It's interesting to see how it's going to be played out, right? Because obviously there's time in between shots, right? So you got to fill that time. Yeah. But if it's a blend of like them telling stories to each other and doing a little bit of trash talking, that could be interesting, like a real golf thing.
Like you and I on a hot day in Pinehurst. 7 years ago. Yeah.
So to me, that's the interesting thing. Is it going to be a little bit of that side chatter? That could be some storytelling and jokes and stuff like that, or is it strictly going to be about the golf? I think it has to be the former and not, just talking about the competitiveness and oh, well, he's got a 7-iron here and he's got 150 out or whatever.
No, they'll be Manning's good at that.
Yeah.
Manning's better than Brady at that. The sarcasm, the chatter, the playing for the cameras. Brady's good too, but
no, I think there's got to be, but there's got to be more than just the golf to this, right? There's got to be obviously the bleep talking.
Hey Tiger, what really happened at Perkins that night?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what was that club that Elin threw at you? Was it a 9-iron? What was that?
That she swung at you. You remember the day that happened? The Tiger went down. I was on a plane going to a BC game. It was the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah. Everybody
on the plane was talking to him.
Yeah, you know where I was? And it's funny because there's a tie-in. Even though so Fridays are official this day in history, but what I'm about to tell you is going to sort of tie into that for today, not for tomorrow. I was in Montana. I was doing a women's basketball tournament with Winthrop University, and we were at I don't know if it was the original one, but it was Ted's Montana Grill in Bozeman.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
And you've been there?
I have.
In Bozeman?
There's one in Tallahassee.
Oh no! You've been to the Ted's Montana. This isn't Bozeman, Montana. This is the home of Ted Turner, one of his homes.
I know. Yeah, this is Ted's Montana Grill. It's a chain, right?
Yeah.
This
was like one. I think this was like one of the headquarter ones. But anyway, and so that's where I was when the story came out. And Bud Childers, who was our coach at the time, really good coach, was at Louisville, finished up coaching at Winthrop. Now has a couple of sports clip stores in the Charleston area. He's an entrepreneur, but huge golfing fan. And so we spent a lot of time kind of talking about that and watching that and kind of glued to it. Now, the reason why, so the historical part of this is that I have to get my notes for this. I wrote it down. So on this trip, we went to Little Bighorn. We flew out of Butte, and so our coach Bud was real engaging guy. He's talking to our bus driver. Well, it turns out the bus driver's like great grandfather, I think, was involved at Little Bighorn, and her uncle. I may have that part wrong, but her uncle was one of the guides at Little Bighorn, and we had because of travel. You know how sometimes it's like cheaper to stay an extra day and fly out rather than. So we actually had a day to kill. So we went to Little Bighorn and saw the battlefield, and we got kind of the behind-the-scenes tour from her uncle. And then the team, there's a reservation down the street or very close by, and so the women's basketball team did a clinic for all the kids on the reservation, a basketball clinic.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun.
That was the Tiger Woods day?
Yeah, that was that was that weekend, but that the Tiger Woods thing that started off. That was like our first day there.
Ties in with Tiger because his Little Bighorn was his problem.
Yeah. But, John, you probably didn't know this, but in 1877, Sitting Bull entered Canada with a bunch of his fellow Indians.
Sitting Bull.
After the Battle of Bighorn. So that ties it in,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I probably did at one point, but not now.
Yeah. Now you do. Oh, and today in 1982, IBM released the PC-DOS version 1.1.
Oof.
1982.
That thing was like 300 pounds, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. It was like a couple of bricks inside of it.
I remember that when the computer vaguely when I was 10 at that point. Yeah. Just hearing about it, I was like, what does that do? What is it going to, are we going to be able to do math on that thing? We had no idea.
Well, it turns out it was great for solitaire.
Yeah, it was. Yes,
that's a little later. And that was
Remember
more
word processors too. Like those were such a pain.
Yeah. It is so funny. Like just kids don't understand. Obviously, I mean, I think, and I don't think this is an exaggeration. I saw this roughly stat. I think I might butcher it a little bit, but your iPhone is like 10 times more powerful than those early PCs.
Oh yeah.
And it might even be more than that. Like it might, but which makes sense. But the funny thing is, like you said, I mean. Well, even look at TV screens, right? I mean, TVs used to be these giant boxes, and now you can get like 6 times the TV for a fraction of the space, and of course, costs are down too.
Well, think about when we were in Charlotte 20 plus years ago. I had to type my script, print my script,
Yeah.
wait for it, run out of the building if we were on location. Always get there 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
The scoreboard on Independence.
Yeah.
On a remote. And the thing about now, I can just bring it with me. I type it there. I bring it on my phone.
Yeah.
It's the convenience factor.
Oh, big time.
It's amazing. I mean,
amazing.
We had a lot of issues with printing.
Yeah.
WFNZ.
So what do you think? So ratings wise, you think this is going to be like? I mean, obviously it's going to do well, but is this something that's going to rival? Do you think it brings in I mean, it's sports fans obviously, but does it bring in people that aren't really huge sports fans? I don't know.
I think it will bring in a casual sports fan, a casual golfer, a casual anything.
Yeah.
Because people are starved for live events.
Right.
It's not going to be huge. It's not going to be Super Bowl. It's
Right.
not going to be NBA Game 7, but it's
Right.
going to be significant.
Yeah.
I think much better than a rerun of the 86 Celtics against the Rockets.
Right. And I think NASCAR is hoping for that same kind of bump when they get back to Darlington, getting things going in Darlington, which is home to one of your favorite Bruce Springsteen songs, Darlington County.
Love it. I just heard on the ride back today, on my sojourn today, because I'm so busy, one of my favorite Springsteen songs, No Surrender.
No Surrender? That's a good one.
Every time that song comes on, I challenge you not to sing it.
Yeah.
It's one of those you have to sing.
Well, there's a bunch. For me, there's a bunch, and I don't think this was on your list of your top 5 Springsteen songs, but which I think was a travesty. But and it's not a fast song by any means, but one of my favorites I like to sing along with is The River.
Yeah, The River is good, but I'm much more of a bar band type.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong.
Some up-tempo.
I mean, I play the air drums whenever I hear Badlands.
Oh, the best. It's the best.
Yeah.
Heard that, too. Heard Darkness on the Edge of Town.
Darkness on the Edge of Town is good. Well, and then you have like the pop songs from Born in the USA, like Glory Days, Dancing in the Dark.
A little bit too poppy for me. Obviously, that was my hot zone of Springsteen.
Right.
When I really, 12 years old.
But is that what drew you in? Did that record draw you into Springsteen?
Yeah, my buddy Sean Becker drew me in. He was huge Springsteen. He had bootleg tapes. In high school, he'd give me these bootleg tapes. I'm like, where the hell did you get these? It's from like some record store in Cambridge.
Yeah.
So father was a huge.
So you were like an American version of Blinded by the Light.
I was just going to ask you, did you see that movie?
I did. I liked it.
It was excellent.
I thought it was very well done.
It was really good. I think it was, it was what you expected.
Right.
It wasn't going to set the world on fire, but I'm going to watch it again. I might watch it tonight.
Yeah.
It's on Showtime now, and I'm like, you know what? I walked out of there thinking that's a damn good movie, even though it made no money.
Yeah, it was interesting, right? I think they were thinking that maybe it would have gotten more traction among the Springsteen fans.
Yeah, I guess it's just a movie going public right now. Of course, it's probably going to collapse, but it's just different now. Whereas in 1984, if that thing comes out in conjunction with Born in the USA, it's probably a blockbuster.
Yeah. Well, but I think the interesting thing about Blinded by the Light is how, it gave the character a kind of confidence, right, to kind of navigate through things. But it also shows, too, and this is why, to me, it was a perfect Springsteen movie, is because it wasn't about the fact that this kid became a Springsteen fan. I mean, that's obviously a big part of the story.
Right.
But I think it's overcoming racism and overcoming classism. Yes. And I mean, it's probably obvious, but it just wasn't on the top of our attention list of the type of racism there was in England against people from like Pakistan and India.
Oh, awful.
And obviously parallels to race issues here.
When I lived in London for a semester in '93 for Ithaca, I did not know that there was that huge population.
Yeah.
And I lived in like little Pakistan. I lived on Edgerow Road. Which
hey, open your eyes, John. Hey, I was right in the middle of it. I didn't know what was going on.
But, it was a little dicey for a woman to walk by herself past a certain hour because guys they wouldn't be like, attacking you, but the cat calls.
Cat calls,
you feel very uncomfortable.
Right. So were you in the East End? Where were you?
No, I was in the like central London, near the Marble Arch. Edgware Road is a Green Line tube stop, which it's kind of like you're being like the Central Park area of New York. That type of region.
Yeah.
So that's very expensive, I think. But when I went there, I found a place on top of a drugstore.
Your salad days.
And there was a guy. I never told you that story. There was a guy upstairs that him and his wife would have some relations.
Yeah.
And you'd hear about the relations.
Yes. So it was like you were the how do I put this? You were present without being there.
Yes, and it was rather loud at the time. So at one point, I turned to the guy I was living with. I'm like, if I hear a gunshot, I am running up there. It was an interesting eye opener for a 20-year-old.
Yeah. So were you on your own to get a place, or if they could help you?
Yeah, we were on. They gave us a guideline. Here's a good place to look.
Right.
Call some maybe a list of realtors. What the realtor guy named Hitton, Indian guy, was one of my best friends.
Really?
Like probably 4 or 5 years older than me, and just the start of this business with his family, and took a liking to me and really helped out. Like at one point, I met a guy. It was hilarious. We met a guy in Piccadilly, maybe, and it was like you'd think it was like a drug deal because the guy was like, he answers the phone. We didn't have cell phones. Calling from a payphone. He's like, "Is this John? Is this John?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Meet me on the corner in 3 minutes." I'm like, "By myself?" It was like, "Is this the drop-off location?"
Yeah.
So it was very almost a little shady, but
yeah.
I looked at a place in Wimbledon, which was way too far.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't live there. I kind of wanted to because I love Wimbledon.
Sure.
It would have been a disaster to get into London every day.
Yeah.
But it was if anybody's watching this that has college age students, if you can swing it, I know financially it's hard. God love my parents for helping out, but if you can swing it, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because it's such a great, not only eye opener, but it makes you feel more confident about yourself, that you can actually live in Europe and you're on your own.
Well, I think it had the same effect that moving to New York did for me. I think it forces you to grow up in a sense, right? I mean, you have to become more adult. You have to have to make more decisions. You have to be smart, right? And I don't mean just in like financial decisions, but it teaches you or gives you more an advanced skill of making friends and making sure you're making the right decisions and not doing stupid things and things like that.
Yeah, it's definitely London's like New York.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've never been. We got to go. It's on the list.
Yeah, put it on your list. It's been a good week there.
Yeah. Did you travel when you were? Did you go into Europe at all, or did you just stay in London?
I stayed in London. Did I go? Oh yeah, no. I went to many places.
Yeah.
I went to Scotland. I went to Italy. I went to France. I went to Spain. I went to Ireland. So you have to do that.
You weren't the basis for Mr. Ripley, were you? Talented Mr. Ripley?
I was not the talented Mr. Ripley. They call me the talented Mr. Meter. Or the no talent meter.
No talent meter. That's funny.
The polar opposite.
So what time of year? Were you there in the summer?
I was there in the spring. And we missed the worst Ithaca snow in probably 20 years. 1993, there was huge snow in Ithaca. And I missed it. And the spring in London was fantastic.
Wow. Which is unusual.
It was an early spring.
Yeah.
I remember in March just hanging out in a park and throwing a frisbee around.
Yeah.
And it was just, I remember when I first got there, I didn't like it because I was, like in New York, you're afraid to go on the subway.
Right.
You're afraid to, at that age, you're afraid of everything.
Right.
And I was like, finally, I just said, screw this. I mean,
the
tube is clean.
It's right.
There's no homeless, there are some homeless people.
Right.
But it is what it is. It's a big city. Yeah. So,
but it teaches you to
got over that hump. Once I got over that hump.
Yeah. Yeah. It teaches you to explore and be smart. You have to be smart about your personal space. I remember when I first moved to New York, one of my friends was like, make sure you put your wallet in your front pocket.
Yes. They still tell you that.
Oh, yeah. I still do it to this day. Well, now it's a lot easier. I mean, just because it's just repetition. I just, same thing with my phone. Like, I'll just throw my phone in my pocket,
My uncle told my kids that a couple of years ago. We were on the subway. He lives in New York, and he's like, put your wallets in your front pocket.
Yeah.
There's some pros that can pick you.
Oh, yeah.
Not that I've ever done that.
Not that you've ever done that, no.
No. But from what I hear.
Yeah, from what I
hear. Now they're disinfecting the subways as well. They should.
Yeah.
From 1 to 5 a.m. As someone said, why didn't they start that 20 years ago?
You beat me to the punch, mate. I saw that. I probably saw that same tweet that you saw, and I was like, wow, they weren't doing this every night anyway.
Right. It's the most disgusting place on earth.
But you would think that, and I don't know how the rail yards are all set up, but you think it'd be easy to, like, depending on how they have it, is one train comes in, clean it up, another one, you just kind of rotate them around.
Well, the thing about New York is, living there, it never closes. It's always open. So 1 to 5 is a prime time, I guess, for some people to ride the subway. But
the ridership is down. Well, no, the ridership is down. But so instead of coming like every 10 minutes, a train might come every 15 or 20 minutes, or 20, right. Sometimes half an hour, depending on. Like the further out you go, I think the slower it gets. But
it's an experience. I rode it a couple of years ago to the Barclays Center, which has a stop right at the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
The ACC tournament. It was so convenient. I rode it from, wherever we were staying, down by Little Italy in New York.
Well, what's the old joke? In a nuclear war, the two things survive will be cockroaches, and the New York City subway system will still be running.
Yes.
I mean, now I will say this. So this is a nod to Europe. Like when we were in the Czech Republic in Prague, if it said the bus will pick you up at 12:50 at this stop, the bus was there at 12:50 at that stop. I mean, those things. I mean, they run their transit system. I think they still do. We haven't been there.
Wind it up and you'll run on time. It's like Tom Coughlin time.
Yeah, Tom Coughlin time. Well, that was funny. It's funny you say that. There was one time where it was early. We're like sprinting up the street to grab the bus because the next one, I think they came every half hour.
Yeah, well, at BC, Coughlin, when he coached, if you weren't there 10 minutes early, you were late.
Yeah, you were late. Yep.
And Tom O'Brien was the same thing.
Yeah.
It's that military background.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. They're like, yep, see ya.
Yeah.
Especially guys like us, they'd leave us in a heartbeat.
Oh, in a heartbeat. Although that's kind of tough, though, right? Because I only say this for college students. And maybe there's a little bit more leeway, right? But like if you have like a 2:00 class across campus and you have a 3:00 meeting, it's almost impossible to be there 10 minutes early.
It is, yeah. I think he
there's probably some educational leeway there.
Well, you don't have to worry about that at some schools, but
not at BC.
You do.
Yeah. Not there. But, are you gonna watch the NFL draft tonight? Or not the draft, the schedule release?
I was gonna say I'm not gonna watch the replay of the
draft. No, schedule release.
Tyler Duggar again?
Schedule release.
I don't know.
They're doing a 3-hour show on the schedule release.
I'll probably watch some of it just to see see how they handle it. Yeah. That doesn't really do it for me. I'd much rather see that. I'll look at the schedule on Twitter.
Yeah.
Is that a big production? Does that really do it?
Well, I think they're doing a big production. They normally do something, right? Usually, I think usually it's an hour long. I think the 3-hour long deal is because they feel like there's such a dearth of live stuff that this is something that people can talk about. And,
is it on ESPN and the NFL Network?
That I'm not sure about. Might just be the NFL Network.
I think it might be.
I think it's just the NFL Network. But I mean, I always like the schedule release. It's always exciting. But the one thing that's interesting about it, I think, is it's just that it kind of finalizes things. I mean, we've known for about 2 or 3 months, in some cases longer than that, depending on teams' end of the year success or not success. But you essentially understand most of the schedule, what it's going to be by the time the season ends. I mean, at the end of the year, at the end of the season, your opponents. This just tells you when you're going to see them.
It's already been leaked that Brady and Breeze are going up against each other in week 1, and there's going to be a Christmas Day game.
Mm.
I think the Saints-Vikings are playing on Christmas Day. So they're going up against the NBA, which could be the NBA's first week of games.
Well, I tell you what, John, I think there's going to be a big bounce. I bet whoever the Buccaneers play on the road is going to be a huge. That's going to be a tough take.
They're going to have a lot of national games.
And I think, and conversely, I think when you look at the Carolina Panthers, not a lot, I don't think there'll be a lot of interest. They're mandated to have like two, aren't they? Two, or they're guaranteed 2 primetime games.
I think so. Might just be 1 actually.
Yeah. But
Patriots aren't going to be a marquee team this year. I mean, they will be because there's always some interest in the whole Belichick factor, but they're not going to be a marquee team.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think they got 6-10 written all over them. As currently constituted.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, right? If they that would be their first losing record since Belichick's first year, right?
Yeah, 5-11 in 2000.
Yeah.
And there's some questions about Belichick. I remember we were questioning on sports radio whether Belichick was on the hot seat going into 2001.
Oh yeah, back then, yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of still, can he pull this off?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think I'll watch some of it. I'll probably flip around, and then I'll go over to Bobby Axelrod at Billions and see what Paul Giamatti's doing with his twisted mind.
Yeah, I like it.
That's pretty much where we're at, Mike, on another edition of Life Without Sports.
Yes.
And it was always fun to talk to Pachito. I'm Metaparsal. Just remember, may all your todays be as good as your tomorrows.
So long, everybody. See ya.